What's going on, guys? Hey, I am traveled from South Carolina back up to Cleveland for the holidays, visiting some friends and family, and it's a beautiful day up here in Cleveland. The sun is out. You can't tell because those clouds have been here for 2 months, but it's a brisk 28 degrees, and was driving around and realized that I closed on my first apartment building ever 10 years ago this week. And you guessed it, that's it right there. And so I thought I'd give you guys a quick history and kind of case study on what's going on. I got the car here with the door open in case I need to leap in and make a quick getaway. So let's see. Backstory: bought my first investment property in spring of 2009. Was in real estate as like a contractor and stuff. 05 to 09, saw the market collapse. I had a real estate license in New York for a little bit. I interned for a big home builder in Ohio, moved down to South Carolina, and decided I wanted to invest in real estate. So I went down in Charleston. The market collapsed in 2008, obviously, and I started buying some stuff, just little dumpy single family houses. In 2009, started fixing, flipping, built up about a 10-unit portfolio, chased some other shiny objects for a couple of years, and went totally broke in summer of 2012. Sold my house in Charleston. Real estate saved my ass because I was chasing some other business ventures, a lot like you've probably seen people do over the past 2-3 years with all these other get-rich-quick schemes out there. But I fell into that early on in my career and learned a big lesson, and so got back into real estate, sold my house in Charleston in 2012, used that money to pay down credit card bills, and moved back in with my parents at the age of 27 here in Cleveland, Ohio. And ended up meeting a couple of guys who ended up putting up some cash and saying, hey, let's, I heard you're getting back in real estate. From those other business ventures, they made some money. They said, hey, we're in this business venture so we can invest in some real estate. How about we put cash with you and you go and essentially play Monopoly with it? And I was like, that sounds good. So I partnered up with a couple of guys and started buying up some single family houses in the winter, kind of like November, December of 2012. And bought up some single family rentals, fixed and flipped a couple of houses, bought a duplex, bought a triplex, and then in November, late November, came across a bank-owned listing on an apartment building, on an 8-unit apartment building, which is what you see behind me. There's 7 units in this beautiful piece of property, and then there's this house right here too. And so, found it on the MLS, and it was bank-owned. Made an offer. I don't remember what it was listed at. I want to say $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, something like that. And one of the early seminars, real estate seminars that I went to, the guy up on stage said, if you're not embarrassed by your offer, then you're offering too much money. And so I went in, and I think, I don't even know, $30,000, and they accepted $30,000 on my first offer, which means I probably offered too much, right? They probably would have gone lower. And there were already 3 tenants living here. The other 5 units were all vacant, needed some work, it was all beat up, and but there were 3 tenants living there already paying, I don't even know, it was like a collective $1,200 a month or something. So I bought this property this week, 10 years ago, in the week before Christmas of December 2012. And so went in there, and I funded it. Well, first of all, I underwrote it. Didn't really know how to underwrite it, but I figured I couldn't lose money on an 8-unit apartment building that I was buying for, do the math, about $3,800 per door. All right, I'm buying it for less than $4,000 a door. I was like, if I can rent this thing out for $40 a month per unit, then it meets the 1% rule. Right? So it's like, okay, it's a good way of doing it. And I think that's a great way of looking at rental property today. It still works. That whole 1% thing that you hear in the residential world, if a property rents for $800 a month, you can be all in for $80,000, then it'll cash flow positive. Holy shit, my dad just pulled up. So I thought I was busted. And I told him I was coming over here. He loves this kind of stuff. So I figured the 1% rule could work. So I bought it for 30 grand. I put another $50,000 into it and went through the property. It did not look like this. It looked a lot better than what you see right now. We cleaned up a lot of the landscaping, put in these glass block windows down here, put in some new windows, repainted the whole place a different color than what you see here. It's got a new roof, 30-year architectural shingles up there. That siding looked a lot better. Kind of kept some of the weather out, but that was all repainted and installed. It was listen, it wasn't like an A class, B class kind of property. It was straight C minus, D plus kind of a thing, but it was clean, it was functional, and it got the job done. What's up, Dad?
Hi, everybody.
That's Dad. So, Dad, you remember me buying this property 10 years ago?
Vividly, I remember. Yeah, I remember.
To his dismay.
Yeah,
to his.
yes. A lot of work, a lot of time here.
But we went in. We put on new doors, put on some new windows. You know, the simple flooring, paint, fixtures. Kind of putting lipstick on a pig, but made it functional and made sure it was clean for the tenants. And we put in all new HVAC systems. But I put in $50,000, so I was all in for $80,000 per door. I'm sorry, $80,000 total, which is $10,000 per door, and ended up renting it all out. The average rent, shoot, I just did the math, but it grossed a little, just shy of $50,000 a year. It was like $3,800 a month, something along those lines, maybe a little bit more, $3,900 a month, which is around 47, 48, 49,000 a year in gross rental revenue. And running the expenses, my expenses were around a little over 40%, around 40%, but I was netting $25,500 per year. So if you do the math on that, that's a 32% cap rate on this property, right? My first deal, 32% cap rate. Like, properties sell, even in C-class areas right now, are selling for 7-8% cap rates, and sometimes even more expensive. So pretty smoking deal. So that's how I found it. That's how I underwrote it. That's how I raised the capital on it. Oh, and by the way, in order to do this deal, I raised money from those two guys I told you about. They brought $80,000, and they got, I didn't pay any sort of preferred return, but they got 67% ownership in this, meaning I kept 33% ownership, and I had 100% of the headaches. I promise you that. And I remember, I mean, there were some dismal days coming over here with calls in the middle of the night, calls on the weekend, domestic abuse, drugs, prostitution, all that stuff. Tenants not paying rent. I had I don't know, probably I think 2 tenants died in here. The real prize, though, is when I first bought it. I was walking through that apartment right up there, and found it in the box original Nintendo 8-bit entertainment system, which I still have to this day. And that was the biggest takeaway from this property. Not the biggest takeaway. I'm going to tell you that one in a minute, but ended up operating this thing, cash flowed for a few years, ended up for about 3.5 years, and I sold it in, I think, beginning of 2016 for $145,000. So not only did it cash flow phenomenally for 3-4 years, I mean, at 32% cap rate, I essentially broke even on my cash flow for what I was all into the property for after 3.5 years of owning it. And then I sold it, and for about, I don't know, $65,000 more than what I was into it for. And that's look at this beauty. So I exited it, sold it to another guy, pretty turnkey. All 8 units were occupied. There was a couple of like miscellaneous things that he needed to take care of it, but he was an out of country investor, and then just didn't do anything with the property. He just drove it into the ground, and it looks like it does today. So you could probably buy this thing for $30,000 again pretty soon here, because it is completely vacant. It's all beat up on the inside. Doors are knocked down, windows are boarded up. I'm sure there's zero copper inside at all. And here's the thing, the property's a piece of shit, right? But the biggest lesson I learned in buying this property, which looking back, it set me up to go build the portfolio that I have today. right? Like if I see this over and over and over again with commercial empire students, people that come through my training program that want to go out and get an A-class property right out of the gate. It's 100 units and get this home run, beautiful trophy property. And the reality is, unless you came into millions and millions, if not tens of millions of dollars in a short amount of time, you're not seeing those deals, right? You're not going to get those properties coming across your desk unless you organically already built up some sort of a portfolio. And that's what this property did for me. It set me up. I was able to understand the efficiencies that came with owning multifamily property instead of a single family, right? I went to one property to do the inspection instead of 8 houses. I looked at one roof instead of 8 roofs. I looked at one foundation instead of 8 foundations. I collected rent from one location. I met the contractor at one location. There's only one water bill. There's only one property tax bill. You know, there's efficiencies in all the management, and that really resonated with my sense of I didn't like waste. I like efficient processes. I like efficiencies in the business and the scalability that it provided for me in the business. So this then set me on the trajectory to buy another 8 unit. And then I bought a 12 unit. Then I bought a 14 unit. Then I bought a 23 unit. Then I bought a 31 unit. Then my 31 unit burned down to the ground. And then I kept on rocking and rolling, right? You go with the punches on this thing. And that's what it did. It set me up for success moving forward. And this isn't the kind of property you want to hold on to long term, but you understand it serves its purpose. And for me, it was a stepping stone to get into bigger properties, get into nicer areas of properties, and it set the tone for me to build a portfolio of, I probably bought and sold over 6,000 doors since this time, and currently holding, I don't know, around probably just shy of 4,000 since I just sold some. So it's not what does this property do or me getting rich off of this property, is what does this property set me up to do moving forward, right? How does this set me up to go buy the next 10 properties and build long-term wealth that way instead of just trying to get rich off of one deal? So go out there, take some action. There's some deals popping up right now, guys. I'm seeing prices drop dramatically, and there's gonna be some big opportunities. I've been working my ass off in real estate for the past 15 years, essentially for the next 15 months of what's about to happen. So I'm super pumped up. Appreciate you guys. If I don't talk to you, have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. If there's anything I can do, don't hesitate to reach out. I'll see you.